Hi guys, and welcome to the video. I'm very excited, kind of nervous a little bit. This is very different for me to do, to be filming this for you guys today, but I'm excited to take on this new journey. I've wanted to do YouTube videos for a long time and could never 100% decide what exactly it was that I wanted to do them in. And I've noticed over the past few years, really since I became a mom, that mommy vlogs, mom videos, and things that pertain to that kind of stuff are just more so what I enjoy and what I find myself watching more than anything else. So that was what I decided would be the kind of content I wanted to create too. And I figured what better time to do it than while I'm currently pregnant. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Miranda. I am from Texas. My husband and I have a beautiful 3-year-old little girl, and then we are expecting our second baby. We are having a little boy. He's supposed to join our family. My due date's June the 1st, so we'll see when he decides to make his grand entrance into the world. And especially with everything that is going on, that we're experiencing and going through right now, I really wanted to start up these videos because I know me personally, especially being pregnant when this whole pandemic is happening, it's been a little scary and it's been a little nerve-wracking, and I've definitely had a lot of moments of feeling overwhelmed and a lot of moments of feeling very by myself. And I can only imagine if I'm feeling that way, that I'm sure there's other moms, whether pregnant or not, who are going through the same thing. And so I thought, you know what, let's all be a community together, and tackle this thing that we're facing as a team and as a community, and still maintain that connection while we're in the midst of having to practice social distancing, self-isolating and all that good stuff. So I wanted to start off with my very first video being kind of like a pregnancy update. I also think one of the cool things about doing this is getting to document my pregnancy, at least what's left of it. I kind of wish I had started it a little bit sooner. I wish I would have even done it with my first pregnancy with my daughter, but it's better late than never, right? So talking about things today, I'm sorry I keep looking down. I've got like notes here so I can make sure I keep myself on track and that this video doesn't wind up becoming like 40 minutes long, because I've gone off on a million different tangents, because I can tend to do that. But I wanted to talk about kind of what's happened to me within the last 3 weeks, because I just had a doctor's appointment on Monday. I turned 33 weeks on Monday. And so from the time that I last saw her to now, so about 30 to 33 weeks is kind of what's fresh in my mind and what I wanted to come and talk to you guys about. So if you enjoy this video and if you like this kind of content, please, please, please go and subscribe. I want to say thank you again for taking time out of your day to watch it in the first place. Definitely give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it and you liked it. Leave comments down below so that I can know that you are enjoying it, so that we can connect, and also tell me what kind of videos you guys would want to see. I have a lot of ideas, but of course these videos are for me, but then for you too. And so let me know what you'd like to see and what you would want to watch. And without further ado, let's jump in and start talking about pregnancy. So I wanted to kind of start things off with talking about my doctor's appointment. I just went on Monday when I turned 33 weeks. And so basically at this point in pregnancy, it's just your little, like, they measure your belly, they check the baby's heart rate and stuff like that, just to make sure that everything's growing the way it needs to, get your vitals and all that good stuff. And so I did all of that. Everything looked good. I'm, measuring on track. Baby's heartbeat sounds great, which is super wonderful to hear, of course. It's what everybody wants to hear when they go in for their appointments. But it was a lot of talking about like symptoms I was experiencing and things that I've been going through. Because this pregnancy, since it is my second one, has been very different from my first one. My first pregnancy was like really a breeze. Nothing crazy happened, and I felt pretty good throughout the entire pregnancy. And this one has just been different. A lot more aches and pains have been coming, and things have happened a lot sooner than what they did when I was pregnant with my daughter. And so that's kind of thrown me off a little bit, because things I'm experiencing now I didn't experience until I was further along with her. And so I'm like, okay, is this normal? Is this right? Is this supposed to be happening? So it was a lot of going over that kind of stuff. But one of the things that I really wanted to talk to her about was what things look like right now, since I'm going to be going into labor sooner. You know, I don't have months and months to go. I've got like a month and a half left. And so I wanted to talk to her about what do things look like at hospitals right now, because there's so many rumors that are floating about, and they can definitely put a lot of anxiety in your mind when you don't know what's going on at your specific hospital. And so I wanted to talk to her about it. I wanted to see like what's going on, what's happening. And so that's what we chatted and talked about more than anything else. I'm delivering at a hospital in Texas, so this might not go for all states. I can just tell you what's going on kind of in an area where I'm at. Praise God, thank the Lord, our cases aren't quite as bad for this virus as I know other states can be. And so I have definitely been very fervently praying that it stays that way and that we don't get anything too crazy around here. So with my hospital where I'm delivering, basically what she told me that they're doing is that now it's only one visitor who can come in, basically like whoever you're bringing into the birthing room with you. So whether that's your partner, your spouse, your significant other, whoever it might be, there just can only be one person with you. So no visitors are allowed at this time or anything like that, which is pretty understandable. You know, they want to minimize the amount of people that are there. And then she said they're doing temp checks for everybody who comes into the hospital. The significant other, whoever you bring with you to the hospital, has to wear a mask, I'm guessing, the entire time. And then that's really it. One of the things she did say that's not happening at my hospital, but could possibly happen, I guess, just depending on how things progress with the situation as time goes on. One of the hospitals, because there's different like healthcare systems, you know, so like there's the Methodist healthcare system, and then there's a couple of others, right? So she told me within the hospital, one of the hospital systems here in town, that they are making all patients who go into labor and delivery get tested, which isn't a big deal. I mean, it's not anything crazy. So that might be possibly something that happens at the time when I'm actually going into labor, but we'll see. So nothing, like I said, too crazy, and I'm really hoping and praying that it stays that way. It was so sad when I started telling her that, you know, I've heard so many stories of some women out there who are having to go and do this by themselves. Like they can't bring anybody to the hospital with them. And it's heartbreaking to think of that, to even think that it would come to that. And so I've just been praying, thanking God that that's not going to happen. We're going to be okay. And that things are going to go as smoothly as they possibly can, with all things being considered. But it definitely feels different, you know, like it's very weird going into the doctor's office right now. You know, my next appointment I go to, she's kind of been doing things a little bit differently this pregnancy than I did when I had my daughter, because typically once you hit the 27-week mark is when you're going like every 2 weeks basically, and that's just getting, you know, like the belly measuring, your vitals done, their heartbeat, you're okay, all that good stuff. And she's been having me go every 3 weeks this time. So I went when I was 27 weeks, then I went when I was 30 weeks, went again at 33 weeks, and I'm going back when I'm 36 weeks. So when I'm 36 weeks at the next appointment I have to go to, quite a few things are gonna happen because I have to do my GB strep test, which if you're a first-time mom, the GB strep, it's a bacteria basically, and it's harmful not to you necessarily, but to the baby. So they test for it, and if you come back positive for it, then you have to be put on antibiotics when you are going throughout your labor. And so I have to do that. I get to start doing my cervical exams, so much fun, right? But the exciting part about that is seeing if you're dilating or not. And then I also am doing an ultrasound. And I remember they did this with my daughter. I just remember them doing it sooner. I feel like I was like 34 weeks, I think, when they did this, or I might have even been 32 weeks. I'm not 100% sure because it was 3 years ago. But they're doing a 3D ultrasound because they want to check the baby's position to make sure he's head down. And then also they want to start getting measurements on him to see how big he is. And what sucks is that right now, my doctor's office, because of everything going on, you know, only patients can go in. So they're not allowing anybody else to go with you to appointments. So whereas I would typically, like, Caleb hasn't been coming with me, my husband, he hasn't been coming with me for you know, quite a few appointments because there's no really need for him to come, but this would be something he would want to come to. He went to it when we had it done with my daughter, Eliana, and now he doesn't get to go. So it really stinks. And unfortunately, this has definitely taken some of the joy and excitement out of certain things. But it's okay. We're powering through. We're making do with what we can. I'm hoping I can maybe like FaceTime him or something when it's going on so that he can at least see, or I can get good videos of it or something to show him. I'm gonna come up with something. That way, of course, he can not just see pictures I bring home, but get to see everything else too. My doctor told me that based on where she's finding his heartbeat, that she's pretty positive he's head down. She kind of found it, you know, like lower, closer towards, you know, like my hips and stuff like that. And so she's pretty positive he's head down. But of course, we'll see and find out when I go in for my ultrasound in a couple of weeks. So it wasn't anything too crazy that happened at the appointment. These ones are pretty smooth. If it's your first pregnancy, as you get further and further along, you know, the visits they're pretty smooth. They're just checkups, making sure you're doing okay and that everything's going the way it needs to. My weight gain has definitely increased since I hit the 3rd trimester. When I went in at 30 weeks, I was at 150 point, I think like 4 or something like that. And now I'm at 154.6. So the weight gain has come on. I'm hoping it's gonna slow down. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, you kind of care about it, but you kind of don't, because I mean, you're pregnant, you're growing a baby, for crying out loud. Like, yeah, you're gonna gain weight. It's just a natural part of it. And with my daughter, I definitely went a little overboard. I feel like that happens with girls though, maybe more so with boys. I don't know. I'm now experiencing both, and I just noticed with her, I'm definitely carrying so much different with him versus when I was with her. I am more like belly than anything else with him, whereas with her, I kind of gained weight in a lot of places. I wound up gaining like 50 pounds when I was pregnant with her. I started out at like 120 with her, and then wound up being 170 by the time that I delivered. But at my very last doctor's appointment I went to with her, I was 170. And so gained more than is healthy, they say, but my doctor never said anything. I even asked her, I was like, am I gaining too much weight here? Like, is this a bad thing? And she was like, you're fine, baby's fine, everything's okay. So it was no big deal. At this point, I think I started off this pregnancy at like 125, I want to say. So I've almost gained 30 pounds. But I'm doing better with my weight gain this pregnancy compared to with my daughter, because I think at this point I was already at like 40, 45 pounds gained with her. So I'm doing a little bit better. But I mean, like I said, it's one of those things where you try not to care about it too much, because it's just the natural part of what's going to happen. Like, you're going to gain weight. There's no way to avoid it when you're growing a human inside of you, you know. As far as symptoms go, so lots of things have changed and have happened. This is kind of that time in pregnancy where things start to get a little more uncomfortable. You know, the beginning of the 3rd trimester, up until typically you hit about, at least for me personally, because it was the same way with my daughter, when you hit about like 32 weeks, is typically when you start getting a little more uncomfortable, unfortunately. And it's where it's like, okay, a lot of things are happening, your body's shifting a lot, and lots of changes are going on. And that's definitely been happening. And with this pregnancy, it's happened a lot sooner than it did with my daughter. This pregnancy has been so different in how I felt and what I've gone through. Like I said, with my daughter, it was just the easiest pregnancy. Like, nothing crazy happened. Could barely even like feel like I was pregnant sometimes. And with him, I felt it the entire time. Like, since I found out I was pregnant, and I am definitely feeling it now. He's a very active baby, like super active. And I remember thinking Eliana was really active. No, she's got nothing on this kid. Like, he is constantly moving. That's all he does, I feel like. And so, you know, I remember taking like birthing classes with my daughter, and they had said, you know, oh, like, you'll start noticing your baby's patterns, and typically babies are going to be more active at night because you're so active during the day, and then you start relaxing at night. No. He just moves and goes and does whatever the heck he wants to, whenever the heck he wants to do it. And so there is no pattern or schedule for this kid. It can be 10 o'clock in the morning, noon, 2 a.m. in the morning. It does not matter. It does not matter. He is moving and he is going. So I can only imagine what things are going to be like when he actually joins the world with us. But it's also really cool because it's just that extra reassurance, you know, that constant like, all right, he's doing okay, we're good, he's there, no problem. Even when you get further along into your pregnancy, at least for me personally, I'm just a worrywart, period. I always have been. You know, you always have just those little nerves and those little fears. So it's always good to feel him moving. He gets hiccups all the time. That's one thing, like, as again you get like further and further into your pregnancy, and like their lungs start developing and everything like that, they get hiccups more and more and more. And so those, they're not uncomfortable. The only thing is, like, sometimes he'll get in a bad position, like a really, really bad spot. And then next thing you know, hiccups start, and it's just like he's in that bad spot, and then it's this constant like boom, 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 boom from his hiccups happening. And so it's a little uncomfortable. And for whatever reason, up on like the upper left-hand portion of my stomach, he will sometimes stretch, and he hits this certain spot, and oh my gosh, is it painful. It is like, I never remember having pain whenever Eliana moved. Of course, like, it's just weird and different, but super cool at the same time. But he has been painful in some of his movements for sure. And so that has been different. But he's just getting bigger and running out of room in my stomach. So it's kind of to be expected. Definitely been having a lot of pressure on like my cervix, big time. I've been getting what they call like lightning crotch, which is such a lovely term, I know, but where he is like bearing down on my cervix, and it sends like a shooting pain down there. So that has been fun. Lots of contractions have been happening, and that was something I talked to my doctor about, because with the Braxton Hicks contractions, they're not, I mean, it's going to be different for everyone, right? Like, everybody's body is different. Everybody handles and tolerates pain differently, and things like that. I like to think I have a pretty decent pain tolerance. Like, I can handle quite a bit of stuff for the most part. Even my doctor told me that, like, when I would get cervical exams with her and stuff like that when I was pregnant with my daughter, she was like, oh yeah, I think you got a pretty good pain tolerance level. So I like to think I'm not like the greatest at handling it, but I don't, you know, have a low tolerance for it. But I started having contractions that felt like actual contractions, where they are slightly painful, not anything crazy, maybe more of an uncomfortable painful than a, oh my gosh, this is hurting me really bad. Whereas like typically with the Braxton Hicks, I started experiencing those when I was in my second trimester with him. When I was pregnant with Eliana, I didn't get them until the third trimester, and until pretty much like this point in my pregnancy. Whereas with him, I've had them since I was like 23, 24, maybe 25 weeks pregnant, within that range. I started getting them. And it's just where like your stomach gets really, really tight, and you can feel it. Like, you can feel it tightening. You can kind of feel things like down in your nether regions tightening up a little bit. So it's different, but it's not uncomfortable. It's just different feeling. You're not used to it, you know? And the contractions I've been feeling, and they started pretty much right after my 30-week appointment, and I've been getting them pretty consistently every day, are what feel like the early labor contractions, you know, where you're in that early phase of dilating from like 1 centimeter to getting to about like a 2, 3, stuff like that, which, I mean, it takes a long time. Like, I remember, you know, I went in first, they start doing your cervical exams at like 36 weeks. I think with that, I don't think at 36 weeks I was dilated at all. I think when I went at 37, I was at 1 centimeter. And then the very last cervical exam I had before I went into labor, I only sat at like 2.5 centimeters. So like, these contractions can be going on for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, and you're like barely even dilating. It's just getting you started. And so I was asking her about them, because my thing was, I'm like, why am I experiencing this now when I'm 33 weeks and labor is still, you know, like a month and a half away? And so I just wanted to make sure it was normal, that it was supposed to be happening at this point, and that I wasn't gonna go into preterm labor or anything like that. Not that that's been like a huge concern of mine, because I went to almost 42 weeks with my daughter. I don't think I'm going into preterm labor, but it was just different. And so I talked to her about it. She said it's normal. Again, second pregnancy, things happen a lot sooner. Your body's more used to it, so things just happen quicker. It's always the explanation I get, which makes sense. And so those have been happening a lot. So a lot of the early labor contractions have been going on, combined with Braxton Hicks. So I kind of get both of them. One thing that's been really weird with this pregnancy that didn't happen with my daughter, and I didn't even know could happen, period, and I read about it in my pregnancy app actually, and it was so funny because I remember thinking my eyesight's gotten really bad this pregnancy, like lately, and I didn't even think it was pregnancy related. I just thought my eyesight was getting bad. I have to wear glasses anyways. I really don't have the greatest of vision. I don't wear my glasses probably as often as I should, as much as I should. I don't do contacts or anything like that because I just don't. But I was like, man, it's gotten really bad. Why is my eyesight so blurry and stuff like that? Why are my eyes hurting? Lo and behold, it's pregnancy. Oh my gosh, I had no idea. And when it was so crazy because when I started thinking about it, I went through my pregnancy app one night and it was just like looking at the articles and stuff they have on there. And oh my gosh, one of the things it says is your eyesight, all the hormone changes and stuff like that affects your eyesight. I was like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. I had no idea whatsoever. So my eyesight's been like getting blurry. One other thing that's happened is my eyes have been really dry lately. And that was another thing that, again, they say it's pregnancy related. So I'm not concerned about it, but it's just like, wow, that's different. I had no idea that this was something that could happen from being pregnant. That's crazy. Definite, like, trouble sleeping for sure, because you're getting into the later phase of pregnancy. Your belly's a lot bigger, you're waddling around, at least I am. I don't know if any of you guys are at this point too, but the waddle has definitely started. So your hips are moving and flexing and stuff like that, and it's just uncomfortable sleeping at night. So a lot of tossing and turning, lots of getting up and going to the bathroom, so that's fun. They always say it's just prepping you for like the endless nights that you're going to be up with newborns. So yeah, just getting back into that lifestyle. It's been 3 years, guys. 3 years. Now we're gonna have a newborn again. I've enjoyed my sleep for these past like 2 years when she finally got on a decent sleep routine and was sleeping through the night, you know? Lots of back pain. I've had a lot of sciatic nerve pain with him. And again, I had it with Eliana, but very late in my pregnancy, and it only happened occasionally. Whereas with him, this has been going on since I began my second trimester, and it hasn't stopped. And it's gotten so bad at some points that like my legs have given out on me. And so it's a pain to deal with. I got a belly band, like one of those belly support bands, and it does help when I wear it. And I was so mad last night because we've been walking, you know, at least trying to get out of the house in some format, because I'm working from home right now with everything going on, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I definitely feel safer because of that, and just it gives me a little like peace, at least knowing that I get to be at home. Of course, Caleb still has to go to work every day, but he's pretty good about, you know, making sure the distance thing, keeping his hands washed, all that good stuff. And so we've been walking at night just to get out. I need exercise. I get restless leg syndrome when I'm pregnant really bad. I had it with Eliana. I'm having it with him too. And I notice on the days where I'm less active and I don't do as much, it gets really bad. And especially at night when I'm trying to relax and I just want to sit down, is when of course it wants to start acting up. And so we went for a walk last night, and I didn't wear my belly band, and I was kicking myself for it because it really does help with like just the back pain in general, the sciatic nerve pain. It helps tremendously. So if you are going through any type of sciatic nerve pain, any type of just back pain in general, or even just pain in your hips from your stomach being so heavy at this point, try one out. I didn't for the longest time just because I'm one of those type of people who, like, I didn't want to spend the money to get it, even though it's not that expensive. And I just, again, I make myself just struggle through a lot of things. I don't know why, I just do. I'm like, suck it up, you're fine, you can do it. But Caleb got me one, and so it's definitely been a big help. So I would highly recommend, if you're having any of those kind of pains, just get one. Just cave in, get one, and you'll be so glad that you did. I kind of started getting headaches again too, I've noticed, which I had really badly in my second trimester with him, and they went away kind of towards the end of my second trimester, and I've been fine. But I just noticed these past couple weeks I've kind of gotten them a few days here and there, which you know, it just happens. And it could just be allergies too. It's allergy season where I'm at, which is why I sound so congested right now, because I kind of am with all of the lovely pollen and everything else we got going on here. But that's come back. So I don't know if it's pregnancy related or if it's just allergy related. The congestion could be kind of both too, because like all of your sinuses and stuff like that change when you're pregnant too. It's crazy how much carrying a human changes like every single part of your body. It's insane. I've really been trying to do better about like eating smaller meals and like snacking throughout the day, because instead of eating big meals at one time, because and again, same thing, I had it with Eliana, I'm having it with him too. Lots of like indigestion, lots of acid reflux and stuff like that, just not fun stuff to deal with. And so one of the things that like I read about and, you know, have just done my own research on is how eating small meals throughout the day can help instead of eating one huge meal at a time. And so that's what I've been doing to kind of help cope and try to manage that. So that's really it as far as I can get. I mean, shortness of breath, it was something I wrote down to mention, but I mean, come on. You're carrying a human who is like pressing on every single organ in your body. I was reading that your uterus, like all of your organs wind up, because of how big it grows, they wind up shifting so far up that they're like, I don't remember what it said, so far above my belly button, basically, literally like right here, you know, right behind my boobs. And so I'm like, okay, that makes sense. So shortness of breath is gonna come. I talk really fast too, and so in combination with being pregnant and talking really fast, I constantly sound like I just ran a marathon, like it's crazy, so bad. I always need to remind myself to slow down and not to talk so dang fast, but I haven't achieved that yet. I've gotten told so many times, especially with my job, as I'm constantly talking to people, slow down, stop talking so fast. But it's very hard to do, and I have to be very conscientious of myself when I'm doing it to really make sure I slow my tempo down. But that's it as far as I can think, as far as symptoms go, kind of what's been going on, what I've been experiencing. Been in the mode of like getting everything ready, you know, like nesting and stuff like that, getting hospital bag ready to go and whatnot, and just trying to finalize and finish things up so it's not so stressful at the very end. And so I've got, like I said, lots of fun things I want to bring y'all's way, lots of videos that I want to film. So I'm going to end the video on that note. Like I said, please leave comments to let me know what you guys want to see, what type of videos you would like, you know, anything that you might be going through and experiencing in your pregnancy right now. What are things like in the state that you're in with the pandemic going on? You know, what kind of changes have they made and shifts have they made in your hospitals or in your doctor's offices? And let me know, and let's join in this together and build this community with one another. So thank you again for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.